Juliette slammed the door behind her, the echo reverberating through the empty hallway of her family's sprawling Boston home, her father's words still burning in her ears. "You're no daughter of mine if you choose this path." Tears streamed down her face as she clutched the small duffel bag containing everything she owned now. Clothes, a few books, and the faded photo of her and Brielle from their first date. In that moment, the weight of abandonment crushed her, but a fierce determination ignited within. She would not let their love be erased. Brielle waited in the car outside, her knuckles white on the steering wheel, heart pounding as she watched Juliette emerge from the house like a storm cloud breaking. She had known this confrontation was coming, had begged Juliette to delay it, but Juliette's stubborn pride had pushed her forward. "Get in," Brielle said softly as Juliette slid into the passenger seat, her voice laced with the fear she tried to hide. Inside, Brielle's mind raced. What if this breaks us? What if I'm not strong enough to carry her through this? They drove in silence at first, the city lights blurring past like judgmental eyes. Juliette stared out the window, replaying the scene in her head. Her mother had stood there, silent, tears in her eyes but arms crossed, unwilling to intervene. "It's against God's will," her father had thundered, quoting scriptures that twisted like knives in her gut. How could the man who taught her to ride a bike, who cheered at her soccer games, now see her as a sinner? The hypocrisy gnawed at her. His own secrets, the affairs he'd hidden from the family for years. Yet her love was the unforgivable crime. Brielle reached over, squeezing Juliette's hand. "We'll figure this out," she murmured, though doubt clawed at her own resolve. Brielle came from a more liberal background in Seattle, where her parents had accepted her orientation with awkward hugs and tentative support groups. But moving to Boston for Juliette's job had exposed her to the conservative undercurrents that Juliette's family embodied. Now, with Juliette effectively homeless, the pressure mounted. Should they fight back or flee? Brielle's inner voice whispered warnings. "You're dragging her into isolation. Is your love worth her losing everything?" They pulled into their small apartment in Cambridge, the one they'd rented together 6 months ago. A cozy space filled with mismatched furniture and dreams of a future. As they unpacked Juliette's bag, the reality hit. "I can't believe he did it," Juliette whispered, sinking onto the couch. Her thoughts spiraled. Was I too defiant? Should I have hidden it longer? The guilt mixed with anger, a toxic brew that made her question every choice. Brielle knelt beside her, pulling her into an embrace. "He doesn't define you," she said, but even as the words left her lips, Brielle wondered if she was enough to fill the void. The next morning, over coffee, the conversation turned tense. "We need to talk about what comes next," Brielle said, her voice steady but her mind a whirlwind. Juliette nodded, but her eyes were distant. She thought about her siblings, her brother, who had looked away ashamed, and her sister, who had whispered, "I'm sorry," before vanishing upstairs. The betrayal stung deepest from those who knew her heart. "I want to marry you," Juliette blurted out suddenly, the idea bursting forth like a lifeline. Brielle froze, cup midway to her lips. Marriage? Now? With everything crumbling? It wasn't a proposal born of romance but desperation. A way to reclaim agency in a world that sought to strip it away. Juliette's mind raced with the implications. A wedding would force the issue into the open, challenge the family's rejection head-on. But Brielle hesitated, her inner conflict boiling. "Jules, are you sure? This could make things worse." She pictured the backlash, the judgmental stares at work, the potential loss of friends. Yet, denying Juliette now felt like another abandonment. The decision hung between them, heavy with unspoken fears. As days turned to weeks, they navigated the fallout. Juliette's phone buzzed with messages from extended family, some supportive, most condemnatory. "Praying for your soul," one aunt texted, igniting a rage in Juliette that she channeled into planning. Brielle, meanwhile, faced her own demons at her marketing job, where colleagues whispered about that drama with her girlfriend. The societal pressure was insidious, seeping into every interaction. Why couldn't they just be? Brielle wondered, her thoughts turning to self-doubt. Am I asking too much of her? Is our love a burden? One evening, as they walked along the Charles River, Juliette stopped abruptly. "I need to confront them again," she said, voice trembling. Brielle's heart sank. "No, Jules. It'll only hurt more." But Juliette's resolve hardened, born from the inner turmoil of feeling unworthy. She needed closure or at least a fight. The argument that followed was raw, words flying like accusations. "You don't understand what it's like to lose your blood," Juliette shouted. Brielle recoiled, her own pain surfacing. "And you think I don't lose too? Every time you pull away, I lose you a little more." They reconciled in the quiet hours, apologies whispered in the dark. But the seed of the wedding idea grew. Juliette researched venues, her mind fixated on proving her father wrong. Brielle, torn between support and caution, agreed to help. Little did they know, this choice would unravel threads they hadn't anticipated. Friends began to divide. Some rallied, others distanced themselves, citing family first. The maw of societal judgment widened, threatening to swallow them. Juliette's job as a teacher became a battleground. Parents complained, whispering about influences on their children. The principal called her in, expression grave. "We support diversity, but this is causing disruption." Inside, Juliette see that disruption? My existence is disruption? The moral quandary hit hard. Was she selfish for pursuing happiness at the cost of her career? Brielle faced similar scrutiny, her boss hinting at professionalism. The couple's bond strained under the weight, each decision a potential fracture. Yet, in stolen moments their love reaffirmed. Brielle cooked Juliette's favorite meal, and as they ate, Juliette confessed her deepest fear. "What if I'm wrong? What if this is a phase like he said?" Brielle's response was fierce. "It's not. And even if it were, it's ours to define." But doubt lingered, a shadow in Brielle's mind. Am I convincing her or myself? The invitation sat on Juliette's desk like a grenade, addressed to her parents in elegant script. "Join us in celebrating our love." It read, but the subtext screamed defiance. Juliette's hand trembled as she sealed the envelope, her inner voice warring. This could heal or destroy. Brielle watched from across the room, her own anxiety spiking. "Are you sure about this?" she asked again, the question a ritual now. Juliette nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. What if they show up just to condemn? Mailing it felt like crossing a Rubicon. Days later, the response came not via post but a furious phone call from Juliette's father. "How dare you mock our faith with this abomination?" he roared. Juliette held the phone away, tears welling as his words sliced deep. Her mother, in the background, sobbed audibly. The call ended with a threat. "If you go through with this, you're dead to us." Inside, Juliette crumbled. Was love worth this eternal rift? The moral tightrope stretched thin. Family loyalty versus self-truth. Brielle pulled her close after, but tension simmered. "Maybe we postpone," Brielle suggested, her mind flashing to her own family's tentative approval. They were flying in from Seattle, but even they had reservations. "It's too fast," her mother had said. Brielle wrestled with guilt. Am I pushing her into a corner? The societal mirror reflected back distorted images. Couples like them succeeding, others crumbling under pressure. Planning intensified, a distraction from the pain. They chose a small venue in Provincetown, a haven for the community, but even there whispers followed. A vendor hesitated upon learning their story, citing personal beliefs. Juliette's rage boiled over in private. How can strangers judge what they don't understand? Brielle mediated, her calm a facade over inner turmoil. "We find another," she said, but thought. Each rejection chips away at us. Friends became battle lines. Sarah, Juliette's college roommate, pledged support but then backed out, citing family ties. "Your dad's my godfather," she explained awkwardly. The betrayal hit Juliette like a punch. Loyalty to blood over friendship? Brielle's circle fared better, but one coworker leaked the story online, turning it viral in local forums. Comments flooded in, supportive hearts mixed with vitriol. "Disgusting," one read. Brielle scrolled obsessively, her self-worth eroding. "Am I strong enough for this spotlight?" The couple argued more, stress fracturing their unity. "You're withdrawing," Brielle accused one night. Juliette snapped back. "Because everything hurts." Her inner monologue screamed. "I'm losing control. Why can't she see?" They made up, but scars formed. Juliette sought therapy, unpacking layers of internalized shame. "I feel like a failure," she confessed to the counselor. The sessions unearthed buried traumas, childhood sermons on sin, the pressure to be perfect. Brielle, meanwhile, faced her own reckoning at a family dinner via video call. Her brother grilled her. Is this worth the drama? She defended fiercely, but doubt crept in. What if he's right? The ethical dilemma loomed. Pursuing happiness at others' expense. Society's gaze amplified it, from news articles on similar stories to casual bigotry in stores. As invitations went out, responses varied. Some RSVP'd yes with enthusiasm, others with polite declines laced with judgment. Juliette's sister secretly texted, I want to come, but Dad. The half-support stung worse than outright rejection. Brielle's mind raced. How do we navigate these gray areas? The wedding loomed closer, a powder keg. A turning point came at a bridal shower thrown by allies. Laughter filled the room, but Juliette's thoughts drifted to absences. This should be joyous, she inwardly lamented. Brielle noticed, pulling her aside. We're building our family, she whispered. Yet as toasts rang out, a leaked photo from the event sparked backlash. Juliette's school board called, hinting at investigations. Panic set in. Lose my job over love? The couple doubled down, hiring a lawyer for protections. Brielle's promotion hung in balance, her boss citing distractions. Inner conflicts peaked. Sacrifice career for commitment? Juliette pondered. Is this the price of authenticity? Society's structures seemed rigged against them. Nights blurred into planning sessions, arguments, reconciliations. Juliette dreamed of her father's face, twisted in anger. Waking, she clung to Brielle, whispering fears. Brielle soothed, but her own nightmares featured abandonment. The bond strengthened through fire, yet fragile. The anonymous email arrived like a thunderclap. Cancel the wedding or face consequences. Juliette stared at the screen, heart racing, recognizing the IP trace vaguely linked to her family's neighborhood. Brielle read over her shoulder, fury building. It's your brother, she said flatly. Juliette denied it at first, but evidence mounted. Texts from him earlier probing details. The betrayal cut deepest. Blood turning poison. Inside, Juliette questioned. Did I drive him to this with my defiance? They reported it to police, but the response was lukewarm. Hard to prove intent. Frustration boiled. Brielle's mind whirled. How far will they go? The societal underbelly exposed, hate veiled as concern. They amped security, but paranoia seeped in. Every glance from strangers felt accusatory. Juliette's inner voice tormented. You're inviting danger. Is love a delusion? Rehearsals became sanctuaries, friends forming a protective circle. But cracks showed. One bridesmaid confessed discomfort. My church doesn't approve. Juliette's response was measured, but inwardly she screamed. Even here, judgment? Brielle mediated, her patience fraying. Ethical quandaries multiplied. Force acceptance or let go. Society's norms clashed with their reality. The media caught wind. A local reporter contacting them for a human interest story. They debated. Exposure could empower or endanger. Juliette pushed for it. Let them see us as real. Brielle hesitated, fearing sensationalism. They agreed, the interview raw. We just want to love, Juliette said on camera. But edits twisted words. Headlines blaring defiant lesbian wedding sparks family feud. Backlash surged. Protests threatened at the venue. Juliette's job teetered. A petition circulated among parents. Inappropriate role model, it claimed. She fought back in meetings, voice steady but soul-shattering. Inner turmoil peaked. Sacrifice passion for profession? Brielle supported, but her own work suffered, clients pulling away. We're toxic, she thought bitterly. The couple's intimacy strained, touches tentative amid stress. A confrontation with Juliette's sister unfolded dramatically. She showed up unannounced, eyes red. Dad's unhinged, she confessed. He's rallying the church against you. Juliette's heart broke anew. Family as enemy? They hugged, but trust wavered. Brielle watched warily. Ally or spy? Moral lines blurred. Forgive or fortify? As the wedding neared, health tolls mounted. Juliette lost weight, sleep elusive. Dreams haunted her, walking down the aisle alone. Brielle noticed, urging rest. We can't break now, she said, but inwardly admitted. I'm terrified. Society's weight crushed. From online trolls to sidelong glances. They sought community support. Attending a pride event. Cheers buoyed them, stories shared mirroring theirs. Yet envy stirred. Others had easier paths. Juliette pondered. Why us? The event ended in a minor scuffle with counter-protesters, adrenaline surging. Back home they clung together, resolve hardening. Brielle's family arrived, offering hugs but probing questions. Are you ready for the fallout? Her father asked. She nodded, but doubt lingered. Ethical debates raged internally. Happiness at what cost? Juliette overheard, sparking an argument. Even your side doubts us. The reconciliation was tearful, bonds tested. The dress fitting became symbolic. Juliette in white, Brielle in ivory, defiance embodied. But tears fell as Juliette imagined her mother's absence. She should be here, she whispered. Brielle comforted. We'll make our own traditions. Yet, inner voices clashed. Tradition or revolution? Protesters gathered outside the venue as setup began, signs waving. Marriage is sacred. Juliette peered through curtains, stomach churning. Brielle squeezed her hand. Ignore them. But the chants pierced. Sinful union. Inside, Juliette battled. Defy or despair. Society's venom flowed freely, testing their mettle. Security ushered them in, friends forming barriers. The rehearsal dinner was tense, toasts laced with unease. Juliette's sister arrived secretly, defying their father. I'm here for you, she said, hugging tightly. Gratitude swelled, but suspicion lingered. Motive? Brielle welcomed her cautiously, mind racing. Potential reconciliation or trap? The night before, insomnia gripped them. Juliette paced, thoughts tumultuous. What if it all falls apart? Brielle pulled her back to bed. We're in this. But her own fears surfaced. Loss of anonymity, endless scrutiny. Moral weights balanced. Personal joy versus public pain. Dawn broke with chaos. Juliette's father appeared at their hotel, demanding entry. This ends now, he bellowed through the door. Juliette's heart pounded. She opened it slightly. Face-to-face accusations flew. You're destroying our family, he cried. She countered. You destroyed it first. Tears streamed. He left defeated, but words lingered like scars. Inner conflict raged. Pity or triumph? Brielle consoled, but the encounter shook her. What if he sways you? She voiced inwardly. Trust teetered. They dressed in silence, vows rehearsed but heavy. Guests arrived amid protests, some turning away intimidated. Juliette's resolve steel-knit. This is our stand. The ceremony began, officiant welcoming. Juliette walked first, eyes on Brielle. Vows poured out raw. I choose you despite the world. Brielle echoed. Through storms, you're my anchor. Rings exchanged, a kiss sealed it, defiant, tender. Applause mixed with distant boos. Inside, Juliette exulted, we did it. But doubt whispered, at what price? Reception buzz, dances shared. Juliette's sister toasted. To new beginnings. Warmth spread, but absence ached. Parents' empty seats. Brielle noticed Juliette's distant gaze. They're missing out. Yet, societal echoes resounded, media vans outside, capturing the controversy. A confrontation erupted when a distant relative crashed, spewing bile. Shame on you. Security removed him, but damage done. Juliette's poise cracked momentarily. Why hate so fiercely? Brielle pulled her aside. Focus on us. Reconciliation with self loomed, accept the fractures. As night fell, reflections deepened. Juliette pondered the journey. Betrayals, sacrifices, awakenings. Was it worth it? She asked Brielle in quiet. Every scar, came the reply. But inner monologues diverged. Brielle wondered about lingering resentments. The honeymoon loomed, a brief escape. But reality beckoned, jobs precarious, family estranged. Ethical awakenings crystallized. Love demands courage but costs souls. Months after the wedding, the glow faded under relentless pressure. Juliette's teaching contract wasn't renewed. Budget cuts the excuse, but whispers revealed truth, parental complaints. She stared at the letter, mind reeling. My passion stolen for love? Brielle's arms enveloped her. We'll sue if needed. But doubt assailed, fight or flee. They relocated to Seattle, seeking sanctuary in Brielle's hometown. New jobs beckoned. Juliette in nonprofit advocacy, Brielle promoted. Yet scars persisted. Family calls went unanswered. Juliette's father suffered a health scare, news via sister. Guilt surged. Should I reach out? Moral dilemma tore. Forgiveness versus boundaries. Society's lens followed. Their story featured in documentaries, polarizing opinions. Support groups hailed them heroes. Critics decried agenda pushing. Juliette spoke at events, voice empowered but weary. Love isn't a debate. Inside, exhaustion mounted. Am I a symbol or a person? Brielle faced internal strife at family gatherings, where questions probed. Regrets. She deflected but thoughts betrayed. The toll on Juliette weighs heavy. Betrayals echoed, old friends ghosting, new ones conditional. A reunion with Juliette's sister brought tentative healing. Dad misses you, she said over coffee. Juliette's heart softened. Bridge or burn? They parted with promises, but uncertainty lingered. Years passed in montage. Anniversaries celebrated quietly, milestones shared. Juliette published a memoir, catharsis in words. Brielle supported but her own dreams deferred. Children? Adoption loomed, societal hurdles high. One evening news broke. Juliette's father publicly apologized in church, citing regret. Shock rippled. She debated response. Accept or ignore? Inner voice urged caution. True change or facade? The couple discussed late into night. It's your call, Brielle said. Juliette chose outreach. A letter sent, words measured. Response came weeks later. Let's talk. Meeting arranged, nerves frayed. At the cafe, tears flowed. I was wrong, he admitted. Juliette forgave partially. Hurt lingers. Reconciliation began slowly, boundaries firm. Brielle watched proudly, her own peace settling. Awakenings culminated, society evolving but battles ongoing. Their love, forged in fire, stood resilient. Yet, as the story closes, one question remains. In the face of familial and societal rejection, is defying all odds for love always the righteous path? Or does it sometimes perpetuate unnecessary suffering?